Okay, welcome to the Marketing My case study for this week. It's the Roger Smith Hotel, which is a boutique hotel in mid-Manhattan, and they have a small hotel with 130 rooms. So we're going to have a little look at what they're doing for the social media. Now, just a tiny little bit about me first, in case you don't already know. My name is Catherine Salt, and I'm a marketing consultant, and I specialise in social media and training. If you want to find out a little bit more about me, you can have a look at my blog, which is www.marketingmy.co.uk/blog. Check out my Twitter page, Twitter handle, which is MarketMy, and also there is my Facebook Marketing My page, where you'll find lots of hints and tips and articles on how you can utilise social media for your business. Now, go into screen share. So you can see the Roger Smith page as I'm going through it. Right. So, like I said, the Roger Smith Hotel is a boutique hotel in Manhattan. And when we first visit the page, we're taken straight to the wall. With all the previous other case studies we've done, we've seen that the majority, they'll take you to a welcome tab, they'll take you to a special landing page that gives you a bit more information about the business and tells the visitors really what they can expect from that page. On this site there's no welcome tab, which means there's no call to action to click that like button. I mean, it would be interesting to find out whether they have actually tried having a welcome tab and it's not worked for them, or they've opted not to do it at all. So if we start looking at the individual aspects of the wall, you've got the profile picture. Now, it's quite funky, it has a sort of edgy graffiti style to it. And because that's so contemporary and edgy, you get the impression, this hotel's going to be very different. It's not going to be a chain Marriott or a Hyatt hotel. It doesn't, however, use the full space that it could do. You could use that bottom, you've got about the same again below that could be used, and that could be used for contact details or publicising a special event. For example. So if we then move on to the strip of photos at the top, having a quick look at those, we can see they really give you an impression of the hotel. They do call, if you look in the About section, they do say we are a home away from home. And so when I looked at this, I got quite excited, because if you look at the 5th image along, there's a little arrow on it. And I thought this would be a video. And it is. It's a screenshot of a video. However, because it's an image, you can't click through. And I think it would have been a really nice idea that in the comments below, if they'd actually added a link to that video. Going back to the wall page, and we look at the top right hand side, you'll see here where it says you and the Roger Smith Hotel. You've got John Knowles and that little icon. Now that icon shows that one of my friends has checked in using Facebook Places. Now this is the first study where we've specifically seen Facebook Places used. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview on what it is. Facebook Places is a location-based application. It's similar to Foursquare that we've talked about in previous sessions. And the idea is you can check in when you're in the premises using your smartphone, and if you're around and your friends are around at the same time, they can meet up with you. It's also useful to give hints and tips on the place, and a lot of places use it to offer loyalty incentives such as discounts for frequent check-ins. And in the notes that I'm going to send afterwards, I've got a couple of really interesting articles about how you can use Facebook Places for your business. So moving down the left hand side, we can see 111 people have checked in, but as we'll see later, the page is also excuse me, dear. You can also see that the page is linked to Foursquare. Now, there's a lot more activity on that as well, which we'll go through as we go through the navigation bar. So here we have with the wall. You can see here going down that the hotel posts several times a day, and it's big chunky bits of information. You've got videos, you've got links to blogs, things with our other interests, and it'd be interesting to know if the amount of posts that they're doing actually impacts what we call churn rate. And churn rate is the number of likes you get to the number of likes that you lose. So are they giving people too much information? I've seen a lot of recommendations that you should only really post once a day, and they're posting 3 or 4 times. And every time that post goes up, it ends up in your newsfeed. So having a look here, we see there you've got on the second post down, you've got a link to a YouTube video. Interesting that they've used the full URL. They've not used a link shortener. Also, another way of using it is they could have uploaded it directly into Facebook, and if it's uploaded into Facebook and you embed it somewhere else, you get that really magic little like button on it, which helps encourage the sort of viral nature of the page. So next we'll pop down into the info bit. Now the info bit is obviously where you get most of the information. What Roger Smith Hotel has done is they've linked it into their Facebook pages profile, and anyone can edit the Facebook page. So if you see here, clicking on that, I can go in and actually add details here. But what we can also see here is there's not a huge amount of information. There's no address, there's no telephone number, and there's no email address. So getting in contact, they're pushing you towards the website or the Twitter feed. And I think a lot of people are, even though they're on Facebook, aren't necessarily, the most web savvy, and I think everybody likes at some point to pick up a telephone. It might also be a nice idea to have a little bit more information about the hotel itself. At this stage, if you don't know the hotel, you don't know that it's 130 rooms, what size it is, or where it is. But let's have a look. We're going to have a look now at the website. And we've clicked through here, and we can see we've got a nice clean, it's well laid out, and you've got a slideshow of images here. You've got on the left hand side a really simple reservation option, and this is the first business I think we've looked at that actually has its own blog. But you do have to pop in to the About menu here to find it. And I think you could, there is a bit of space next to the Twitter and Facebook icons where they could have added one for the blog, and it may get a bit more attention. So you can see further down you've got the telephone number, which is great, linked to an email contact list, and also an email sign up. It doesn't tell you, however, what you're signing up for. I think maybe if there was a special offer, if it was for special offers or for a newsletter, that might be more helpful to people. But further down you've got a link to World Hotel and TripAdvisor, and the TripAdvisor one takes people straight through to the reviews and gets you some more information about the hotel. What I really like here is under the welcome bit, which actually gives you a really nice idea of a bit more about the hotel, is some helpful links for tourists. A lot of people don't know New York very well. They are going, maybe it'd be the only time they ever go, so this is really very helpful. Okay, so we're going to go up now to the About section. And we are going to have a look here where it says social media. There is a whole page, this whole page is dedicated to how you can connect with the Roger Smith Hotel. it's clear from, if you look at the Twitter list, it's clear that the whole business is on board with using social media. I mean, it's not just been left to some poor marketer to get on with. And if you go even down the bottom here, you have Henry, the dog. And Henry has his own Twitter feed, God love him. Oh, bless. So he's not got the huge number of followers, but he's quite chatty. So going back, we're going to now have a quick look at the Roger Smith overall Twitter account. So as we can see here, they're very chatty, it's very interactive, it's really nicely set out with an image of the hotel and a drawing. And, you know, they've got a substantial number of followers considering their Facebook page has about just over 2,500. They've got over 8,500 here. It shows that this is obviously, it's a very popular channel for them. They've been listed a lot as well, 748 times. And it's interesting to see the sort of lists that they're on. If you can see at the top here, you've got New York, but you've also got quite a few on social media, which really does show that Roger Smith has a very good reputation as being engaged. So we're going to go back now, and we're going to have a little look at the blog. Like I said, this is the first business we've looked at that has a blog, and I always sort of rave whenever I'm talking to people about how useful a blog is. Now, what they've done here is they've actually set it up as a separate website linking in. And it shows that Roger Smith isn't just a hotel. It's you know, you've got information there, you've got reviews of things from the expressionists, of the German expressionists. There's also retail. There's involved in this thing called the RS Pop Shop, and the Lab Lounge, which is an art installation window in New York. As we can see on the right hand side, we've got a little follow us icon, so it's integrated into Twitter. And I think this page really shows how, you know, Roger Smith Hotel has a strong sense of reaching out to the community, and it really is offering more than just a bed for a night. It's more of an experience. It's more of, again, they were talking about, you know, it's a home away from home. At the top of the page, they've got a link there to subscribe to the RSS feed. I think a lot of people still really like to get email, and I think that's really useful if they would have an email opt-in as well. Below here, and opposite the title, you see that we've got a reminder that it is a hotel, and there is a link to get 10% off the rooms, and that will take us back to the original website. So we're going to zoom back now to the Facebook page, and it's going to click through to friend activity. Now this is again linked to Facebook Places. Now because the only friend I have is actually John Knowles, and he's the only person that's checked in, it's only his check-ins I see. If I had more friends in New York who visited the Roger Smith Hotel, that would be a lot busier. Now here we go, we've got the reservations page. I see a lot of hotels and a lot of businesses, and they don't actually help themselves because they don't really have a link to how you can get involved with the business. Now it's taking a little time to load, but what it is it's a third-party application that links in to their overall booking system. I'm going to press refresh and see if that zooms it up a little bit. No, it will come. We might have to click back to that in a minute. And this is a really good indication. If things don't load fast, people do lose a little bit of interest and can move on. But basically, it's a reservation inquiry system that links into their main hotel reservation system. See, yours has worked. Okay, Danny's has worked, mine has not. So I'm going to click back and forth a little bit, and hopefully... There we go. Right. Yeah, so you can just click in there to see if they've got availability. And at the bottom, under check availability, you can also sign up for specials. Now, I think if the link on the website said the same thing, it might have a better conversion rate. And it is quite subtle, and it is actually on the Facebook page. It's the first call to action. You know, you've had no call to action to like. A lot of the posts on the wall are quite broadcasty and don't always ask questions or ask for responses. So we're going to have a little look now at the private dining reservation, which will hopefully load a little bit quicker. There we go. The Roger Smith Hotel has a private dining room that you can hire. I think it would be enhanced if they could explain a little bit more about that. If I know the hotel, then I will probably know what the room looks like, and I will understand the sort of setup. If it had a bit more information, like a photo, the capacity, possibly even an example menu, that might help. Also, another idea would be to add some contact details for people who actually don't necessarily want the private dining, but they want to book into the main restaurant. But again, you know, this is a third-party application, and there's always limitations with those. So we're going to have a little look at their Foursquare now. Now, they're doing Foursquare and Places, and you can see here that actually they have substantially more check-ins on Foursquare than the Facebook Places, and I think that's a testament to actually the popularity of Foursquare in the US. And what I like about this is you've got the tips on there, and I'm sure I will be popping in and having a go at their cocktail menu after reading that. Thank you very much. And if you click through to the Foursquare website, you get even more tips and hints. So, photos. Again, this is lovely because you really get a sense of it being a community. You get a sense of it being relaxed and casual, and it gives you an idea of all the events and activities that they do. And you know, there's a real sense of warmth to it, as well as it's really very clear that it's a creative environment. So we're going to have a skip down now to the YouTube channel. Oh, I don't know why my thing's slow to load. There we go. Right. Obviously, a lot of their events get some very interesting people, and they do interviews with them, which is fantastic. Again, it's that real funky, cool idea of New York, rather than the sort of Waldorf Astoria type. It also gives you an idea of the work they do with art, the creativity. You've got an interview there with the film director John Turturro. And even further down, you see conversations they have about social media. They're very entrenched, as it were, in the value that social media can bring them. Clicking on that little more button, we've got a Flickr account, which is currently not being used. So I don't think they need to use it. So I don't know why it's there. Clicking through to links, those are links that have come from the wall, and then events. Now I'm quite surprised that they're not using events at all. It could be the fact that, you know, they've tried it and there wasn't enough engagement, or it could be the fact that maybe they've just not got any events coming up. Now, this isn't actually the only Facebook page the hotel has. They've actually got another 3. They've got one called the Lab Gallery, which is dedicated to their performance and installation space. One called the RSS Pop Shop, which is about the retail and art side. They're doing an experimental retail and art idea in New York. And then the other one is one called the Roger Smith News 2.0. Now, obviously this stuff is all seems very relevant to the main page, so I'm not sure why they've decided to have another page, whether it's a case of there was too much news maybe for just one page, but maybe I think that might be splitting their fans. They've got 245 people who like this, and I mean, I don't know how many actually are the same people who like the actual Roger Smith page. I think it's really clear from all of this that social media and building community are very important to this business. Also, the spirit of the hotel, the fact it's creative and warm and relaxed, feeds through everything they're doing. There is a lot of information on the Facebook wall, and I think maybe it's focused a little bit too much on broadcasting, and there could be more of a push towards encouraging engagement. However, I know we've looked at restaurants in the past, and I think that may be easier because obviously with a hotel you're getting people who don't necessarily return like a restaurant. Diners in a restaurant can keep coming back and back and back. Some people will go to New York once and never return. However much they love that hotel, they may never return to it. So here we go. This is my overview of the Roger Smith. So I'm going to close down the screens now and zoom thing. And obviously, if you like to learn a bit more about social media, there's the Blast Off Social Media course, which is running at the end of April. We are lucky enough to have the fabulous Elijah Young from Fandora and Social Talk Live and his business partner Mark coming in to speak with us for those. If you want to find out a little bit more about those, check out the bit.ly link, which is bit.ly/blast11 for a bit more detail. So let's open it up now for some questions. So let me ask, do you think that they're hitting the right sort of level for that hotel? Is it the sort of edgy vibe that you think is going to appeal to people? Do you think that they are engaging enough with people? Well, yeah, it's like Julia's come back and said 8,600 fans seems to be on target. Now that's Twitter followers, and I think their Twitter, I think they're doing really well with that. But it's interesting to see that, considering how many people are on Facebook, which is what 600 million people on Facebook, in comparison to the sort of 100 million on Twitter, that they're not getting the same sort of traction. They're not getting the same sort of buy-in. Yeah, Danny makes a good point that they have used lots of different platforms, and they've not tied it into one Facebook page. And it's a question, I think, of whether that's a plus point because it shows how diverse they are, or whether it's actually sort of splitting the interest and taking the focus away from what they want to focus on. That's another good point from Julia. Twitter is edgier than Facebook, so maybe it is appealing to the right demographic. And it is clear, I think, when you look through all the images, it is a sort of more bohemian, edgy. It's not necessarily one of those young minimalisty hotels. It is more relaxed. It's more bohemian. And looking at the people who come to the events, you're talking sort of 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. You're not talking, it's not a cool with the kids place. I mean, we've got a couple of hospitality travel people on today's webinar. Is there anything you think you've learned specifically that you'll take back to your business from this? Yeah, welcome page on Facebook. I'm surprised they don't have one. Do you not? So Danny's saying he doesn't have a Facebook welcome page on his either. It'll be interesting. Like I said, unless we know what their sort of figures are, it's difficult to tell how much difference it makes. Industry sort of thing says that a welcome page will increase conversions to likes by 50%, but I think you're right, Catherine. I think the fact that they've got a reservations option that sits and goes straight into their main one is brilliant. I think if you can sort of get people to do things without making them click too many times, without making them leave the platform they're in, I think that's quite effective. See, I've got Danny tapping away next to me, which means he's asking me a question but he doesn't want to speak. Yeah, there's not a huge amount of background on the company. They are so diverse and they're doing so much. I mean, they actually have someone who's the director of innovation. They are more than just a hotel. Yeah, the Facebook Places, the Google Places is interesting because I think it's very easy to incorporate, and I really like it when people put tips on it. It's interesting because in where we are, Foursquare's not really taken off as much as it has in the US. So it'll be interesting to see the sort of balance between Facebook Places and Foursquare, because Foursquare wasn't ahead of the game so much when Facebook Places was launched. Danny's tamping away like a mad thing. I'm going to get him a microphone next week. I'm going to make him speak. So I don't sound like I'm talking to myself. Here we go. Yeah, Foursquare is an American thing. Why do you think it's going to work in Europe better than Foursquare?
It's more universal, isn't it? Like Facebook.
There's more people on Facebook before you start, so you don't have to have a separate application. Yeah, it makes sense.
Whereas like Foursquare is like a separate thing, another thing you have to sign up for.
Yeah, Foursquare is something else you have to download, something else you have to log into. Oh, I like Julia's point. Total lifestyle brand. Maybe the different Facebook pages are to create different hamlets in the Roger Smith Village, and I think you're probably right. And this is why I think the Lab one and the RS Pop Shop work quite well because they are very, very different. But I think the news one, the Roger Smith News Point 2, again, maybe it was the idea that that was the focus point for all the other 3 pages, but it doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem to be as popular as the other 3. So maybe that's not really working how they really hoped it would. Okay, so do we have any more final little questions or points we want to make? Danny's gone quiet. Danny's not tapping away. Yeah, actually, Danny's just said that it'd be interesting if a UK brand did something similar. Thank you very much, Catherine. We're going to sign off now. Thank you again so much for coming. It's always very much appreciated. I'm going to be sending out the recording as soon as possible. And like I said, I'm going to put a couple of links on there to how you can use Facebook pages for yourself. So hopefully that will be really useful for you. Obviously, if you've got any questions, you can always come and ask me on my Facebook page at Marketing My. And again, if you want to learn more a bit more about social media and how it can benefit your business, there is the Blast Off Social Media course. So thank you very much, guys.